Hey guys, it's Kachi once again. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please kindly subscribe. So today we'll be building on the last video I did on objects. We'll be discussing more advanced topics on object. We'll be discussing on classes, constructors, instances, methods, method calls, inheritance, and static methods. So we'll be discussing on those more advanced concepts on objects. So just stay in touch and let's do this together. So let's start with classes. So basically, what's classes? Classes is a way of defining a model. So let's make an illustration that will help you understand better. So assume that LG Electronics owns, they decide to bring in a new model of a product into the market. So they're trying to bring in a new model. So you know that model will be the first production will be like a model with which other subsequent production will follow in. So let's say LG produced a television model, a television TV, LG televisions. So the first television they produce is a model. So subsequent productions will follow in the first one, will be modeled after the first one. So that's basically what class is. Classes help you define a model, your prototype. So subsequent instances you'll be creating will be following the prototype you created initially. So that's what class is. So how do we get a class? How do we define a class? We write simple class. We use the keyword class. So I'll define a teacher class, a teacher model. Class teacher. So this is how you define a class in JavaScript. So we have a class called teacher. So this teacher here is a model basically. So the teacher class will have a constructor. Now it looks like an object, but the difference is in the constructor. The constructor would take in a parameter, which is the name, and let's say the grade, name, grade, and when I define this, I'll explain what I'm writing now. So this is a name equals to the name, and this dot underscore grade is equals to the grade, and we will now define a hard-coded parameter constructor variable, which is called this dot salary. Now this salary is dynamic in the sense that it can change, so we would have to salary, if I can spell it well, salary equals to, let us say 100. So now this is our constructor. Why is it this way? It should be this way. I don't know why they're formatting my this for me, but this is our constructor. So let me explain what this constructor is. This constructor is basically what helps us to define the properties of our class object. So it has the name, it takes in the name and the grade as a parameter, and it uses the this keyword. Now in my last video I explained what the this keyword is. So so I think you should watch that video if you did not watch that video. So it uses the this keyword to pass in the name we called in the parameter, which is the name here and the grade here. So this dot underscore name it's the name, is equals to the name that we will define later on, while this dot underscore grade is equals to the grade, while this dot underscore salary is our hard-coded value. I could have decided to put in salary here and just pass in the salary, but I don't want to do it that way. I want us to have some form of make it a bit more dynamic, so we can have different understanding of what's actually going on. So this dot underscore name is equals to the name, while this dot underscore grade is equals to the grade, while this dot underscore salary is equals to 100. So this constructor here help us to define the properties of our class, if that's understood. So like I said earlier on, this teacher is just a model, so of what we expect our teachers to have. So it's like a model, it's like a prototype of what our teachers would have. They will have a name, they'll have a grade, they'll have salary, the level of salary. So now we can initiate a new instance of this teacher and pass in the values to our teacher that we are creating. So let's say we have a new teacher, for instance, and her name is what is this now? This is Laura. Laura equals to new teacher. We now pass in the name, which is Laura, and the grade, which the grade will be grade 5. Let's call it grade 5. So Laura now is a new teacher we are employing to our school, and so we are initializing her data, which is the name, her grade, and her salary. We're not defining the salary yet, but we'll define it later on. So this is Laura. So if you want to get this now, we can now say, which is a bit crazy. Let me change this to teacher 1. Let me not call it Laura. So because what I want to do now, it will be a bit confusing if I use Laura. So if I console.log, what am I typing? Teacher1 dot underscore name. So what do you think it will give us? Let's try it and see. It will give us actually her name, which is Laura. So it gives us her name. We can also get her grade by saying underscore grade. So what we did now is to create a new instance of this teacher class, and we are passing the properties of this teacher class. That is the properties which we define in our constructor, and we are passing those properties to teacher 1. And in this teacher 1, we are saying the name will be Laura and the grade will be grade 5. So once we print out teacher1.name, it gives us Laura. So it's like creating a bit of, for me I think it's like creating a bit of database, because with this our database we can now get in the teachers. We can have other teachers too. We can have teachers too. We can have other teachers. We can have teacher 2, which is going to be teacher 2 equals to new teacher. Just assuming we employ more teachers. This is going to be Victor. We're going to be Victor, and the grade will be grade 2. So if we change this to teacher to teacher 2, and we get the name, it gives us Victor and gives us the grade, which is grade 2. That's understood. So that's basically it for the class, the constructor, and the instances, because these are new instances we are creating. The next thing we'll be discussing here is the methods and how to call the methods. So if you watch my previous video again, I explained how to call your methods using getters and setters. So that's basically what we'll be doing here in this class object. So we say get name. So now when we are calling this name, it's instructive to know that we don't put get underscore. We are not doing get underscore name. If you do that way, you get an error. So what we are doing is get name. We are defining a function, which is name, a method rather. Here is a function actually, because, and it's also a method depending on how you want to call it. So we're defining a function which is name, and we are we're using this get keyword so we can get the name. So this will return this dot underscore name. We can also get the grade, which will return this dot underscore grade, and we can also get the salary. Now this, you will see why I did salary differently. Get salary, no underscore there, which would return this dot underscore salary. So let's say we want to define a function that we can call whenever the person's salary is increased. So we can say increment salary equals to this dot underscore salary plus 50. So whenever the person's salary or the teacher's salary is increased, maybe the teacher does well, let's increase the salary. So we call this function, and instantly the salary will be incremented by 50. So these are functions. They are methods, basically functions. This is what we define within an object. So now let's try it out. Let's increase the salary of teacher 2. So we call teacher 2 dot increment salary, and this is a function, so we call it this way. So yeah, let's call it 2 times. So we can now console.log teacher 2 dot salary. Now let me explain what is happening here so you will understand better. So here, teacher 2, we are incrementing the salary. We are calling this function, we are incrementing the salary by 50. So we call it twice. So the salary will be incremented by 50 each, which is 100. So now we can now print out, we're now getting the salary of the teacher after we have incremented it. So let's do this first. Let me get it before the increment and after the increment. So I'll come here and I will do node index. So we are saying here increment salary, we called it this is salary plus, sorry, there's a mistake here, plus equal, should be plus equal rather. So let's call it again. So this the first time the salary is 100, but after we plus equal, we added 50 to the salary, it became the first time 150. Then we call the function again, it added another 50 to the salary plus the 150, it now becomes 200. Now if you say equal, it's just like saying the salary is now 50, then now the salary is now 100. But when we say plus equal, it takes into cognizance the previous salary, which is 100. So it adds to that 100. If you get the point, that's why we got 100 the first time. So if you say plus equal, it adds to the initial salary. If you remove this plus equal and just say equal, it assumes the first salary, the first value to be 50. It ignores the previous salary. So that's that. So as you can see, we are now calling our increments, our get salary method, and we're also incrementing our salary by 50, which is basically our method calls. So So the next thing we'll be discussing here is the concept of inheritance in object-oriented programming. Now, let me explain this here better on. So we have a teacher here. We have a class here called teacher, which we have initialized with a constructor name grade, and this teacher here is a model of how our teachers should look like, right? It has their name, it has their grade, has their level, has their salary. Okay, yeah, you could have the level if you want to put it, and it has so many things. So we now have teacher 1. We now initialize, create a new instance of the teacher rather, and we now pass the name Laura with the grade, which we pass as 5. We also have teacher 2, which we now create as new teacher, pass the name as Victor, and teacher and the level is 2. Then we printed out the salary by first, and we got the salary to be 100. We now printed out increment salary, and we added 50 to it twice by calling this increment salary function twice, and then we print out the salary and it gave us 200. Now let's assume that, in a school we have different employees, so a teacher is just one of the employee. So let's assume we are keeping a database of the various employees of a school. So teacher is just one of the employee, right? We also have janitors, we have the principal, we have the dean, we also have various teaching staff, non-teaching staff. We also have various staff basically of a school. So teacher is just one of those staff. So now you can imagine that this teacher, the same way this teacher 1 is a subset of the teacher class, that the teacher class itself will be a subset of a higher class, which is the class of school employees, if you get what I mean. So the school employee database will have a teacher class as just one of the subsets. So this class teacher now would come under the school employees class. Then the teacher 1 will now come under the teacher class. So that's the concept of inheritance. So inheritance means that this teacher 1 inherits properties of the teacher, which is the name and the grade, whereas this teacher will also be inheriting properties of the school employee, which we will be defining subsequently. Now the reason I'm explaining this is so that what the code I'm about to write now, you would have a better understanding, a better grasp of it. So now here above this class teacher, we want to define a new class called class school. Remember, when you are defining a class, I forgot to tell you guys, it has to be with capital letter. You cannot define a class with a lower case. So class school employee update. Now this update will have a constructor. Now when defining this constructor, we have to ask ourselves, what are the characteristics that all the school employees will be having. So you don't want characteristics that this one will have but this one will not have. So all the school employees, what are the characteristics? What is one harmonious characteristics, one characteristic that unify all of them? So just to make this less complex, we'll have all of them will have a name, definitely, right? So whether it's a teacher, whether it's a janitor, whether it's a principal, whether it's a driver, whether it's a kitchen staff, those that cook, so they will all have a name, right? So the constructor will have this as a name. We'll take in the name parameter because all of them will have a name, definitely. So we also expect that all of them will have a reg number, right? So we can also put reg number here. Yes, all students will have a number, a particular number, a tag, a number tag. But should we put it? Should we not put it? Let's just put it. It should be there. But I wanted to keep it simple, so let us put the name reg number. So all the teachers, so long as you're an employee of that particular institution, you have a reg number, a number that you can be identified with, a unique number. Why they use reg number, I think, is because people can share the same name, but you can't share the same reg number. So it's a unique way of identifying people. So the name will be this underscore name will be equals to this name, while this dot underscore reg number will be equals to reg number. Now they will also have a salary, so this dot underscore salary will be equals to, let's say 100, even though naturally they will not have a unified salary, they will have different salary. So we have defined our constructor. The next thing is to define our methods, which are getters. To get name will be equals to a function, rather it's a function that return this dot underscore name, while get reg number also be a function that return this dot underscore reg number. We also have a function for increment, getting the salary first. You have to get a function for getting the salary. Get salary is a function that returns this dot underscore salary. We also have another one which is a function. This is different from getters, so this is a normal function. So which is increment salary, which takes in a parameter which is the new salary. Here, if you look at previously we had coding the salary, the increment by 50. We were hard coding it, so you can imagine that the salary increment will be based on your performance. So if you are doing well, maybe increase by 50. If you are doing well, increase by 10, or 20, or it will be unique, different, dynamic rather. So we're just taking that as a parameter, new salary. No, not new salary, increase by. So this dot underscore salary plus equal increase by. So we are done with the school employee class. So the next thing we have to do is to make this teacher class a subset of school employee, meaning that this teacher class will be drawing the properties from the school employee. So this teacher class will come under, you want to link them together. So this would come under the school employee. So it will be drawing characteristics, it will be drawing its module from the school employee. So how do we do that? We can simply do that by saying class teacher extend school employee. Then we'll be passing in constructor. What will be the constructor? The constructor like the properties of the teachers. The teacher will have a name, obviously. Will have a reg number. We also have a grade. Now I'm redefining this teacher class here. So it will have a grade. So this grade is unique. So that's why I did not put it under this school employee, because everybody cannot be under the same grade. So some will be grade 1, some will be grade 2, some will be grade 3. So this will be unique. How do we know that it's unique? So we'll be defining it later on. So we'll call our super constructor. So this super constructor will have everything that is in the super. How would I put it now? We'll have everything that is in this particular school employee. It will have everything there. So which is the name and the reg number. So now how do we define our grade? We now have to define our grade by saying this dot underscore grade is equals to grade, because we are defining this grade here because, like I said earlier on, grades are unique. Everybody cannot have the same particular grade. So next thing we have to do is to define our getters. How do we get our grade? So we define our grade. How to get our grade rather. So we call a function our getter function, get grade, this dot return this dot underscore grade. Now the reason why we did not define this get grade here in this place here, we did not define it here, is because if we had defined it here, it would have been undefined. Because sorry for that. Well, it will be undefined. That's basically what I mean. So get grade, if you define it here, it's undefined because, as you can see here, there's nothing that points to grade in this school employee constructor class. So our grade is defined within this teacher class. So we are calling it. We have to call it within the teacher class. If we get that. So now, when we are done with that, the next thing we have to do is we have to initialize this teacher class, teacher 1. Let's say the school now. I'll need to clear this out because, as you can see, we are rewriting some of this code already. Because teacher 1 equals to new teacher, which now takes in 3 parameters. These parameters are the name. Let's say I'm the teacher, Kachi, and the rate number. Rate number is the number, so 234, 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the grade. The grade is also a number. So the grade, it can be anything anyway. It can be number, it can be anything, because we did not define the data we are receiving. We have not yet defined that, okay, it should be a number. So it can be anything basically. Even your name can be anything because there's no definition here. So it's just a parameter, we can put in anything we like, but still, for the sake of orderliness, the grade will have to be grade 1. Let me make this a string. Grade 1. Grade 1. Yeah. So we have now initialized a new teacher. So let's say we are employing a new teacher in our school. So teacher 1, the new teacher name is teacher 1 Kachi, and the rate number is 1, 2, 3, 4. Rate number, and the grade is grade 1. So how do we know if what we just right now, if it's working or not? You can say console.log teacher 1 dot name node index. Oh, and that's giving us an error. So let's see where the error is coming from. This dot name is undefined. So yeah, okay, so I think I forgot to put dot here. This is supposed to be a dot. This is supposed to be a dot in that place here. So let's do this again. So now we can see we get a name which is Kachi. So we can also get our rate number. Let's get a rate number. So which is 1, 2, 3, 4. We can also get our grade, and grade 1. Okay, so let's call the function for incrementing our salary. So that will be teacher 1. Our salary currently is 100. So we call it teacher 1 dot increment salary, passing in the salary that is the increased by the figure we want to increase it by. So I'll put that 50. It's currently 100, and I'll call it twice. Yeah, I'll call it twice, and then we'll now call the get salary function. So console.log teacher1 dot salary dot salary. Yep. Yeah. So, and you can see it gives us 200. So basically, as you can see, we have passing the value of a school employee to teacher. We have extended it to teacher, and from this teacher we have been able to create a new instance of this teacher by initializing it to a new variable called teacher1, passing in the properties which are Kachi 1, 2, 3, 4 and grade 1. So that's basically it for using inheritance in object-oriented programming. So finally, if you want to create methods that you want to be limited to a particular class, for instance, you want a method to be limited to the employee class, you don't want it to extend to the teacher class and the teacher1 instance. Maybe let's say, for instance, an information that method contains information that is very sensitive, and you don't want everybody to be able to get that information or manipulate that information or like change it, understand? So you don't want them to be able to access this information. You want it to be restricted within a particular class, that is the school employee class. Something like the total budget of a school. What would teacher wants to do with that? Like the ability to to create school passwords to school electronic devices, something like that. Those information you want to be a little bit restricted to. You don't want everybody to be able to access it. You might want to create a static method. So static methods are used to define methods that are available only within the particular class or constructor it was defined. So let's create one. Let's check you understand better. So let's come over here and define a static method. So it will start with the keyword static, and we'll be generating a password. Generate password, which is this, and we'll create a password. Password equals to math.flow math.random times 1000. Let's create 1001. So return password. So now what we are doing, we are creating a password, basically a 5-figure password. The password will give us a random number between 1000 and 1001. So those random numbers would include like decimal points something like 356.111, 354.218. Those numbers, figures with decimal points. So we use this math.flow to remove those decimal points that is after the number. So we use math.flow to remove the decimal points, so that we have a whole number basically. So here we can now call this function. Let me remove this. Let me console log this. So we can now come here and say console.log hospital school employees dot apply dot generate password. Yeah, so we call this. So as you can see, so it gives us a 4-figure number, 4793. So if we call this again, it gives us another number, So it's random numbers, so just give us random numbers. So So this password, if we try to access this general password from this teacher instance here, let's just do this again. Teacher 1. Let's call this up. You see, it gives us an error, and the error, it says generate password is not a function. But we use the function here to call this school employee. The reason why this is giving us is because this function is only accessible within this school employee. You cannot generate it. It does not go down to either the teacher or the teacher 1 instance. So it's just limited to this school employee. And basically that's it. That's just it for this series. We discussed various topics here. We discussed how to create class, how to create constructor, how to get name using getters within a class, also using methods and making method calls. We also define how to create inheritance, how to extend inheritance properties from a super constructor here to the class teacher, and also how to initialize create new instance of the teachers. And basically we have taught so many things here, so you can watch the video as many times as possible to have a clearer, in-depth understanding of what I've been going through here. And subscribe to the channel. We'll be dropping more and more videos on this, so just keep in touch. Stay tuned.